So like I met Andy Elliott and like I was like, all right, and I had been thinking about it. I was like, all right, like I need to make a supplement. I just want because like my cabinet's filled with all these like supplements and I'm taking different ones. And I usually get pretty happy when I'm like, all right, that one's off. Didn't do too much, or that one I need to continue taking.
Yep.
So some come off and then I cycle some on and off. And so I was like, I got to just put together something that I myself am going to enjoy and it's going to help out with decreasing the amount of pills I take and, also for hydration, daily hydration. And I'm always like working on just boosting brain power one way or another, whether it's with meditation, sleep, or supplementation. I'm always like working how to make that better. So that's how, and like I met Andy Elliott. I'm like, this is like perfect jump off to that. And like I had been talking to one of my friends that does startups in San Francisco, and we just got this thing together. And we're about to, it's a long time going. We put so much stuff into it. It took a lot of time to just get it passed through the regulations and stuff because there was such a big mix. So it took a lot longer than we expected because, something that, takes, I think they said like 48 to 72 hours for passing regulations. I think ours took like over a month because we just had so much stuff in there. And they have to check like if things are binding or going to decrease their effects and everything. So, and all the compounds are, purified, well tested. So you're not getting bunk material either.
That's really cool.
And it's a lot of stuff that I found helpful and I do a lot of research in whatever I take anyhow. And like, that's where I've been like, all right, these are stuff that I need and like a multivitamin or something that I take every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of like the very definition of being a biohacker is like doing a ton of research on everything you put in your body or on your body. It's like
and
deep dive.
And like once I started building it, then, like this IM8 came out, like Novos is out, Athletic Greens. I never, like I took some greens powder, but I never took the Athletic Greens. It seemed like it was just too commercialized. And whenever I looked at it, like a lot of the stuff, I'm like, all right, 300 something compounds, but like you're in one little stack. You're like, our scoop's like bigger than one of your protein scoops. It's a large scoop that to contain all the compounds that you need something more solid. So something that comes in a small stick isn't going to have what you need. If it's 300 things, how much of it, each thing are you getting? Right?
Yeah. Well, in AG1, they consumer. I don't know if you ever read Consumer Labs, but they found lead. I think it was lead in AG1. There's some other compounds that were not so great in there.
Yeah.
I've tried IM8. They sent me a sample of that. I really liked it, but I saw it more as a multivitamin.
Yeah.
But I like that they're doing a lot of testing, like astronauts, and they're doing all kinds of like very interesting.
But you take Novos, right?
I take Novus, but I take that. I see that as like my longevity.
Yeah.
So like that's the senolytics I get, and I was doing research on quercetin, and I thought, well, it doesn't have that, so I'll add that to see if I get any extra edge. And it actually, I have a genetic SNP, the COMT SNP, which slows down the clearance of estrogen when you take quercetin.
Oh, really?
Okay.
And so I actually developed estrogen dominance.
Yeah.
And which I didn't, it was just a really bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is a very bad experiment. I didn't know. So now I'm kind of like deep diving into all of that stuff to make sure I don't do anything like that again.
Yeah, I had similar situation with something else. It was I think I was overdoing it on curcumin, and I didn't know. I was like, sometimes my liver enzymes were a little high, but it's like they were like 800s to 1,000. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And one of my patients is like, oh, curcumin almost threw me into liver failure. I was like,
it was good to know because I just added that.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I was taking probably too much because like that's a whole thing and that's why I wanted to create one compound, because it's like, some of the supplements you want to take have like a whole bunch of like everything, and then their other supplements also got like a bunch of the same things, and like to overdo that. And that's what was happening, because I think I was taking solid curcumin pills. And then it was also part of like, I think my morning shake or something on top of it. So I think I was overdoing it, but yeah, like my liver enzymes were high, and I was like, I know like when I work out, like they run high. It takes a while for my liver to clear them. Not anymore, but like, and I think at the time I probably had fatty liver and stuff. I was a little overweight, more than a little overweight, but but I think that kind of had something to do with it as well.
I was gonna say, isn't there also curcumin? Well, I know turmeric can be notable, like have a lot of lead in it, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if when you take the curcumin only, if it wouldn't have it though, right? I actually never, right?
I took Thorne, which, you know, they got bought out by Nestle, but at the time they were Thorne, and they heavily test their stuff, and they were a trustworthy brand. So I don't think it was from their thing. It was, and then what I read is like, I think it's like 5 or 10% of the population actually has like an issue with, where you could go to, into hepatitis with,
good to
curcumin.
know. I've just started taking it. I'm going to see my doctor in like November, so get all my tests. So at least I'll know.
And I didn't even feel weird or like have any pains or anything, so I couldn't even tell. But if your liver's not functioning, you're obviously sleep's not good. A lot of other things aren't working well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So what got you into this whole longevity thing, and how long have you been doing it?
So it depends on, like, I mean, I got into health like in my 30s, so that was in the like 2000s, around 2000. Because I was I had like really bad acid reflux, and I'd just been through like a marriage, a divorce, quit my job. I trained as a structural engineer, and then did this for 4 years, and I'm like, I don't want this. I don't know what I want to do, you know? And so I was I turned 30, and I had this acid reflux. And so when I went to the doctor, she's like, well, you know, you're under a lot of stress. I was already on a antidepressant.
Yeah.
And so she's like, well, here's a antacid. And then it was just kind of implied like, oh, you're going to take these the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my neighbor is in like pharmaceutical sales, and I'm kind of like, I don't like, I just kept thinking in the back of my mind, if my stomach's upset over something, isn't it something I'm eating?
Yeah.
Like that's just this overriding message. Sure. And I wasn't okay with just being on medication the rest of my life. Not at age 30, you know, thinking that doesn't seem sense. So the School of Naturopathic Medicine was there. That was kind of this new thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I had nothing to lose to go talk to somebody. And so she ran some tests, but also in the meantime just said, you know, get off all wheat and dairy and see if that makes any difference. And sure enough, within 2 weeks, no acid reflux. I lost like 10 pounds, because I used to be like, I don't know, 40, 50 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
You know, and I just was, and she was asking me like, what do you do? You know, I mean, what is your diet like? Do you drink? And I was like, oh yeah, I drink a bottle of wine like every night. You know, I'd been through a divorce. You know?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, all these things like mattered to her, that I was like, oh yeah, shouldn't my other doctor be asking me these things? But not to put down like, you know, the medical field.
And we see it. Yeah. We're allopathic, like we're both allopathic, but we see this side of things, because for us, lucky to be in our position is like, with being mainly cash pay, we do insurance stuff as well. But like, you know, I've always been into health and wellness, and like, you know, we did look down on naturopaths for a long time, but like now, like they're a bigger push, and I send patients, you know, like more complex patients that, you know, I try to work through their labs and get them like situated. And when I can't figure it out, or like I work with Krista, and like we both work together on trying to see how we can figure things out to make life better, rather than just putting them on some medication, which they come in and they're like, oh, my PCP said to take this, and I don't want to take it. And like, you know, and where the allopathic physician's like, no, you got to take it. Or they just tell them to go diet and exercise and go and meditate or something. They don't give them a plan
that's
where they're
specific
like,
to them and their
yeah.
issues. But I think that was the thinking 20 years ago. I mean, that's where 25 years ago, my brother was a doctor as well, and he
Yeah.
trained. He actually intentionally went into ER medicine so he could kind of avoid all of that, because he's like, you're needed in the ER. That's the one place you're really, really,
Yeah.
we shine in Western medicine. So,
Yeah.
no, there was like no problem. It was just like that's what was going on then, and I wasn't getting any answers. And so I was on an antidepressant at the same time. So when I went back to see her for my follow-up, she said, well, if you want to get off the antidepressant, we can put you on a nutraceutical protocol. And that was like this whole new term to me. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so she put me on like L-tyrosine and a bunch of other, a few other things.
Yeah.
And then I slowly tapered off. And I was on like venlafaxine for, I don't know, a year to 18 months.
Yeah.
And I had no withdrawal symptoms, nothing. I mean, it just went right off of it, right in. And I just was shocked that like supplements could be as effective.
Yeah.
And so, and then of course I'm exercising and doing all the things that she's asking me to do, and eating healthier and all of that. So it just was impressed upon me. Like if you have a problem, always kind of
figure out what the root cause is.
What the root cause is. Yeah. And, again, I don't even know where the Institute for Functional Medicine was at that point, but I think people were beginning to kind of think that way.
Yeah.
And so then in my 40s, my hair was like falling out, and I was really tired, But, mind you, my son was 3. My brother, the ER doctor, he had just passed away very tragically. And I would go see the doctor. I'm just like so tired, and my hair's falling out. And she's like, you're in grief, like, and you're taking care of a 3-year-old, you're fine. And I'm thinking, something's not right. Like, this is like bone tired, like it just wasn't right. And sure enough, I mean, I was lucky I had a friend. She just said, you should just go get tested for heavy metals. And so I went she has a doctor who was essentially practicing functional medicine, an MD.
Yeah.
And she tested me, and she's just like, have you been working in a Chinese factory? Because I had just so many different heavy metals. It wasn't just like lead and mercury. It was like antimony and tungsten and like all of them, and several. And I was a ceramics major when I first started college, and I thought it was silly to wear a mask when I mixed glazes, and I travel the world. I'm an adventurous eater of like, eat fish everywhere. I missed the memo on fish and, heavy metals. So, So, and then I had some like dental stuff. So I was really like toxed up. And, when this had happened, I had actually just had my last 2 mercury fillings removed because I knew that was a good idea, but I didn't think it was so bad when I swallowed a tiny little chunk of the mercury when he was taking it out. I thought, so that's what kind of like sparked the whole thing. Yeah. Which I'm grateful, because then we did chelation therapy, and like, which I know can be like controversial for sure, because we like, even in the middle of like my chelation therapy, I kind of went sideways under her supervision. So I always tell people, don't do this at home, folks, because definitely very, 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 very dangerous if you do it at home. But anyway, like 6 weeks into it, I was driving home, and I remember, like, because you would go in one day for the chelator, and then the next day she'd go back and she'd remineralize me, like based on whatever I needed, And I was driving home, and it felt like the clouds opened up, like it was as if like I could see my peripheral vision opened up, and like as if it really felt like there was a cloud over me that was no longer, like the world seemed brighter. Yeah. And I just, this like low grade depression I'd had like my whole life was gone. Like it was gone. Wow. And I just was thinking, wow, there something is, going on here. And so I became very obsessed with detoxification, because she was doing my genetics at the time too. And so I had this MTHFR, you're going to have trouble like detoxifying. You need to take, be more careful about that kind of stuff. And so I just thought, well, I can't, I think I did 12 rounds of chelation. And she was like, that's enough on the body. Like everything you have is in safe levels, but I'm looking at all of them and kind of going, well, what's the cumulative effect of having so many different metals? Yeah. And so I became obsessed with researching ways to constantly detoxify. Yeah. And so in that process of always like looking into doctors and what they're saying and trying different things on, somewhere in there I learned about fasting and its role in detoxification.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can just fast and not take all these supplements and not do like my body will do all the detoxification work. Like I'm in, sign me up, and I'll lose some more weight. I'm like, great,
Yeah.
But then right after that, I learned about Walter Longo's fasting mimicking diet. And then he was talking about its implications for longevity. So that was the first time I was like, oh, longevity.
Yes.
Putting that idea of your health span matching your lifespan, maybe extending a little. And then, of course, I read David Sinclair and, so then I just became obsessed with like longevity and senolytics and this idea of detoxing your zombie cells. And so in that process, so that was like in I came back from 2017, probably like 2018, 2019, 2020, somewhere in there. And that's eventually I found my way to this company, Novos, and the Rejuvenation Olympics.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, what do you, other than the detox, definitely like you feel like changed a lot. You felt like definitely, and like the fasting mimicking diet, I've tried it once. I haven't gone back to it. I truly believe in it, but it's just tough I'm always afraid of like energy and operating all day long. And, because when I did it for the 5 days,
I wouldn't want you fasting if you were operating on me.
Yeah. I usually fast till like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. And I feel like my brain just functions so much better. Like I'll take a scoop of aminos and just eat it in the morning. And like I take ketone esters all the time, which like drive me right through without any issues. But like, when I got home at like 6, 7, like you just want to hit the sack, like you're done.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I want to do it, but then I don't. So how often do you do it?
I'm experimenting this year, and I'm doing a fasting mimicking diet every 3 months. So I'll do another one kind of here right before Christmas. But usually I only do them like before and after the holiday, and maybe one more during the year at the very most.
Yeah.
But I had done fasting, up until that point, like I could get to like 4 days of water only fasting. Right. But now we're kind of learning maybe it's not so great for women to go that long and, all that. So, and I'm glad I listened to my body, because I remember just like everyone would say, oh no, once you get past 4 days, you'll feel great. And and I would get that feel great feeling, and then I would start feeling bad again. And I just remember thinking like, this isn't right.
Do you do intermittent fasting throughout the day? Do you have a certain time?
Yeah. So nowadays pretty much eat dinner at like 5:30, and but I'm in bed like 8:39, and I'm up at 4:30.
Yeah.
So and I do have like a little bit of something before I work out nowadays, but like it's just collagen and some other things in a tea. And then I go work out, and then I really don't eat anything until like 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I go a ways.
So you wake up at 4:30, and then you go work out. What does your workout consist of?
It's a different every day. So like today was my VO2 max. I'm always switching it up. I'm always switching up like what I'm doing during the days of the week. But now it's like Tuesdays is VO2, Monday, Wednesday, Friday are full body weights. Yeah. And then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday are kind of like heavier cardio. So Monday's like the VO2, or Tuesday's the VO2 max. And then Thursday is like I just do like a hit, like a 20, 30-minute hit or whatever, 20-minute hit. Yeah. And then Saturday is either go for a hike or like I'm back in the gym doing something fun. Yeah. But yeah.
So when you eat, what are you eating? Because like, and I listened to your podcast, and with a lot of longevity medicine, everyone's like vegetarian.
It's very
and
interesting, right?
And then, carnivore diets out. And the other day I tried to cook a tomahawk steak, and I was like,
Sounds
I love
delicious.
steaks, but I was like, I can't be having too much. But like, I know when I eat steak, even at like 6, 7 o'clock at night, my heart rate doesn't drop to like 4 or 5 in the morning. It's it's like 70s, 80s. Yeah, it's higher than usual. Yeah. So it takes me a lot longer to digest the meat. So that You know, like if I have steak or something, I think it's better if I have it at lunch, but it's almost never a lunch thing for me. So
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in the big, like, 2 o'clock, big lunch if you're going to do something like that.
yeah,
But I don't, no, I'm not a vegetarian by any means. I'm a total omnivore.
yeah,
In fact, I had ground venison today. But again, I had that as my breakfast. It was like around 11 o'clock,
yeah,
So then for dinner tonight, I'm ashamed to admit I just had a protein shake. But then I also eat, like I do think it's important to get the plants. I mean, I think that's the benefit of being a vegetarian. If you're actually eating the plants is like, so I'm doing a pound of veggies a day. So it's usually like half of that is greens. And then the other half is like celery and carrots or whatever's happening, in the farmer's market. But yeah, it's an interesting debate. And I have a feeling, my gut says, unintended, that eventually people will be able to test, like, okay, you need to be on X diet, you need not just based on your genetics, but maybe somehow where you are in life at that point. I know I was doing the full vegan diet when I was trying to do the chelation therapy. And because she was looking at my numbers as we were going through it all, she just said, this is not the diet for you. And she showed me, I mean, she's like, I understand. I read the China study. I know it's, supposedly good. And but I can tell you it's not working for you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I did vegan and then I did vegan for lunch and I'd go, eat animal proteins at night. I don't know. Like, I don't think I felt much different. I was getting like Sakara Life. I don't know if you know. It's just vegan meals. It's like a Michelin star chef that pretty expensive. I think it's good for detox because it does like you feel like you're emptied out and you don't have bloating or any of that. But I don't know, like the taste kind of gets old after a little while, and I always crave like a steak or meat.
That was my thing. I remember like sauteing mushrooms and trying to put in like this like liquid smoke, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why don't I just have a piece of bacon? And then when bacon came back on the menu, I was just like, bacon. It was the best. So I don't know. There's something, I mean, like I feel like if you're craving it, with the exception of like sugar and cookies and cakes, I just think there's something to it. Because, I mean, like how long did we demonize like eggs and butter and fat? And actually it's like, now we're finding, what is this C15 fat in the like grass-fed butter. Like, I would rather like, if it's pretty much natural, I'm having it.
Yeah, that's a whole thing, Whole Foods. And like, just, I want to get someone that's an expert on the podcast, that's an expert on like, the types of meat and like because all these new words are coming out, grass-fed, grass-finished. And then, like no hormones. And the other thing you think about is like they could be grass-fed, but if they're eating crappy grass, like is that grass-fed? Like really? And like, are they getting appropriate nutrition? They might gain weight, but they might be sickly weight that they're gaining. So, I just want to figure that out. But like one thing I've changed more recently is like I've gone halal or like kosher. I think is a better way, like how they slaughter the animals, where they're going to get all the toxins and stuff, where like the way that mass production and slaughtering's done in the US, like drives up their cortisol and their muscles kind of tense up. So the meat kind of keeps all that blood in it, where that's all the toxins and stuff's kind of driven out of the animals, which I think, like halal meat's going to be a lot safer and you're going to feel a lot better after eating that than eating a big juicy steak that's, killed the old way.
Do you ever use CPR meats?
No.
This is a guy is raising it down in Wilcox, and he gets these emails. Just Google CPR meats.
Okay.
You'll get an email every week like, oh, these are the girls out on the pasture, and like they've got chicken, lamb, pork, turkey. You can order your turkey now. And they have eggs. He's partnered with a dairy. They have raw milk, and he comes up, I think, once or twice a month to deliver. Yeah. But they also have these like spots where you can get it all the time
Oh, yeah.
too. So, but you just
Okay.
order it online, and it's
Yeah.
he might know more about like kind of the questions
Yeah.
you're asking, because obviously
Yeah.
he kind of said, okay, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm moving down to Wilcox. I don't know their whole story, but
Yeah.
clearly the animals were raised,
Yeah.
in beautiful, healthy,
Yeah.
pristine pastures.
Yeah. Some of the websites, as I was going down the hole with like what meat to get, like some of the places I was like, I don't know what farm that is. It's like all these farms from across the US. I'm like I don't know what it's going to
Yeah.
taste like. Like you can say it, but I was like, all right, I'll just go with this place. And they delivered within 2 days. So I was like, all right. Yeah.
I just like that I can drive down there and see it
Yeah.
if I need to.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
one year, was it last year? I had to travel accidentally when it was time to pick up my turkey, and so I went down there and picked up my turkey, and it was quite the
No,
drive.
it's good to have something local because then
I mean, it's
you
not
get it
that
fresh
local,
because
but
Yeah.
it's local-ish.
yeah, no, because like right now it's like I think the stuff's frozen, kind of like the way you get it, and I don't like that too much, and it's in plastic. Everything's in
Oh,
plastic, so
That's
Yeah.
the whole new discussion,
Yeah.
right?
I know.
Microplastics. I know. I'm just like,
yeah,
I mean, luckily, again, I've been deep diving on that for a little while.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the whole plastic accumulation. I was more from a design sense, like in my kitchen. I was like, I don't like that plastic Tupperware stuff.
Yeah.
I want like these pretty glass containers.
Yeah.
So I was grateful I had this weird little designer thing going on.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, we changed to all glass. Like my wife sort of listens to me every once in a while.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, Slee, did I ask you a question? Yeah, on biohacking, that's how I got into it. I'm not, real into the tech aspect of
Yeah.
it just yet. I mean, I'm slowly adding those things.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so techie. I wear a red light cap every morning for like my hair, because
Yeah.
this company sent me a red light cap to test, and I was like, I'll test it for you. But
Yeah.
like, I don't think this is
What do you think?
like,
I know. What would you,
oh my God, I've been using it for 3 months. It totally works.
It does.
it?
It does.
Yeah.
It
Totally
does.
works. I was like,
Uh-huh.
holy
It does.
crap.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've never had, my hair has never been this long in
Absolutely.
my entire life. Like, and it's just all filling in here. Like my hairline is coming back. And I was like, okay, now I have to like get
No,
on
it
here and like
works.
tell people that it works. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, the thing I've been, and I have tons of tools, like, and my brother always says it, and I should probably do some reviews on them, because it's like I do a lot of research, and then I'm like, all right, I take it down to like 2 things and try to compare them back and forth. But like, it took me forever to get like a red light mat. But like, I was dealing with like lower back issues for like 8 months. It was, wasn't totally hindering me. I even took like peptides, BPC, and I was on them for a long time. It's like, this thing's just lingering and not going away. Got the red light mat, like within 2 weeks, like the back pain was gone. I'm like, it's got to be, that's
Yeah.
what it's from. And like 8 months, it was just like lingering on. And I'm like, how am I going to get rid of this? I bought these flat shoes. It improved it, but it didn't go away completely. And then like, yeah, I got the red light mat.
So is that like one of those beds?
I didn't get the bed.
But it's just the bottom.
I just bought a mat. It was like, I've said it in another podcast. So they said it was like a 9-in-1 or 6-in-1, whatever it is. So I'm like, oh, this is a total like Alibaba thing. But I had seen them at we went to one of the conferences for longevity medicine, and like I saw the company there. I'm like, all right, if they're at the longevity conference, although you can pay for it, I was like, it might be okay. Let me try it. And like I tried the mat, and I loved it because it had a TENS machine in there. I used the TENS at the beginning, along with the red light, and then it's got PMF and like all in one. And
Wow.
So I was like, might as well try it, and it worked. So I'm almost 100%. That's like the reason. Now, like I don't sleep on it every night, but like when I go to put my son to bed, I'll lay on it for like half an hour, and it feels good. It gets pretty hot. It gets up to 150 degrees. Sometimes
Lovely, actually.
sometimes my lower back is like almost from the bulbs. It's almost burning when when you're laying there for a while, but like, yeah, after half an hour, you start sweating and everything. So it feels great. Another thing I got more recently was like my shoulder like bothers me from all the liposuction I do. So, I was like, I got to figure out how to like, because I'd get pain like late at night, like while asleep. So I researched, there's the Kineon, the little spot things that you put on like your shoulder, your knees. And then I was like researching that. Then this other thing popped up that it's stronger. And I was talking with our podcast guest last week about like cold lasers, and like this thing has cold laser. It's not as strong as the handheld cold lasers, but the Kineon has it too, but this one's more powerful. So I was like, all right, red light and cold laser together, and the cold laser is supposed to penetrate deeper into the joint and stuff. So I was like, let me try it.
They're just little patches that you wear?
They're little pads. Oh. They're like about this big.
Are they attached to anything, or do you just?
Yeah, there's a strap that you connect them to.
Oh, okay.
Put it on. So
how long have you been using that?
Like 3-4 days.
Oh, really? Yeah, because you were just complaining of your shoulder last week.
Yeah, it feels better. I don't know if it's from that or just getting better.
Yeah,
because you're having like, I'm sorry, I'm just mad.
Oh yeah,
like,
liposuction. Like a lot of
to really push
a lot of plastic surgeons have rotator cuff and shoulder issues, and I did like competition weightlifting when I was younger, and I just like try to lift or bench press ridiculous amounts of weight. So that took a beating on my shoulders. But now it's like liposuction and like breast augmentations. You're like cranking on your delts and shoulder. So those are, I'm like, I need to just treat them better, just get them to heal. So the cold laser is supposed to, produce collagen and stuff. I'd have to fact check that one. I'm not sure, but yeah, they say it builds collagen and helps heal injuries. So we'll see how it goes. And it's easy to strap on. It's like 20-minute treatment. So yeah.
Do you ever do any hyperbaric?
I do. I have a hyperbaric bed in the office.
It's just every day.
No, I am claustrophobic, so I wish I.
You know what? I'm very claustrophobic. Very, and I have no problem.
Really?
You just get in there.
I always get so jealous of everybody.
My whole thing is
just give it a go.
My whole thing is just finding the time to do it. Yeah. It's like
you have to sit there and go, okay, well, I'm going to read a paper at this time. I'm going to do something,
Yeah, when I think it'll be a lot easier when we because we're getting like the 4-person one. We're opening up a surgery center, so we're going to put a 4-person one in our surgery center. We have a single person thing. And I just think you can't really do anything but sit there and meditate. Yeah. So if I can get some work done while sitting in there, I think that'll be a lot more functional. And I have 2 little ones, so it's like tough to like, other than work, it's usually going home. Because with the hyperbarics, you got to sit there for at least an hour, so.
It's so funny because I was about, so I've done hyperbaric before, and I had a breast reduction, and it was like 10 years ago. Yeah. And I had already done this work with the heavy metal chelation, and she had hyperbaric chambers. And so I was telling her what I was doing. She said, oh, you come in here after your surgery. Yeah. And I told the doctor what I was doing. He's like, you can do it, but and he was blown away. He's like, I've never seen anybody heal so fast. Yeah. And so he bought a hyperbaric. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah, we put it all of our post-op patients in hyperbaric.
Yeah, that's why
brilliant.
I kind of got it for myself, and because my wife, it's an expensive piece of machinery, so I bought it for myself. But I told my wife, it's for the patient, so I'd get in it every once in a while. But now we have all our patients go in there. They feel great. They actually, we give them 3 sessions. They usually come back for more. We do that and the red light therapy. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
I love it. My son had to do, 20 sessions for some brain issues.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, so that's kind of like my next kind of big purchase. I'm getting a cold
Yeah.
plunge here any day now.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, the next toy I want to buy is the hyperbaric. And
Yeah.
again, it's like I try not to do too much of all this gadgetry,
Yeah.
but like that one, I really
No, it
have
works.
felt like a huge difference. And
Yeah.
you can see a difference in your skin
Yeah.
and just how you function daily. I just love it.
Yeah, like I had an accident, and that's where like I did like 10 treatments right away. I slipped and fell and banged my head, and I was like, all right, I gotta, I got in the hyperbaric right away, and yeah, I did 10 treatments then. I never felt anything bad from it. Can't say like, when you optimize yourself, it's like you can notice small changes. I didn't really like notice too much of a difference at the time I did it, but overall, you're not, with some of the stuff, you're gonna feel energized that day and like more focused. Like I noticed that, and like you start doing chores around the house, something's wrong with you.
I just noticed like my inflammation seems to die down,
Yeah.
so I love it for that.
Yeah.
I think for long-term brain health,
Oh yeah.
it'll be good. So
Yeah.
but I probably won't you probably have one that goes to like the 2 atmospheres. I'm just
Yeah.
getting like the Oxy Health, which is like
Yeah.
1.4 soft
Yeah.
shell.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not as
Yeah, I have the Oxy Health. Yeah, it goes up to 2 atmospheres. That's yeah. For what we need, up to 2 atmosphere for especially post procedures and stuff, that's perfectly fine. Like, and I really didn't want to, go in medical grade as like, all right, put in medical grade. If I was going to put one at my house, I'm like, yeah, the shit blows up, then like my wife's going to kill me or like, and my kids are at home. I'm like, it's just, to take all that risk away, just get, a soft hard shell is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And you don't need to go up to 4 atmospheres. It's not like I'm treating one of the FDA approved things like necrotizing fasciitis or something.
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So what all encompasses in your practice? Like what, like your.
So we do a lot of breast reconstruction for breast cancer patients, but and then cosmetics, we do everything. We do facelift, rhinoplasties, breast and body work,
Yeah.
mommy makeovers.
We're really starting off too with wellness as well. Hormone replacement, peptides, things like that. So that's been really fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I started, doing some of the peptides. I did tons of research like 5 years ago, and then I started doing them myself, and like I had drastic change to my health and lifestyle, and I'm like, all right, we got to get this for
So
our
you guys do
patients.
peptides.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to come talk to you
Yeah.
soon. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to talk to my doctor in November, but for autoimmune issues, I think I'm
Yeah.
dealing with one, and I
Yeah.
think BPC might be quite good
Yeah.
for that.
EPC and thymosin
Yeah.
beta. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I want to make sure, I think I'm dealing with Sjogren's here. So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure like I have that sort of figured out. And then I had asked her in the past about peptides. She's like, I don't know. She's a functional medicine doctor. She's like, I don't do peptides. You need to find somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna come see you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I would love that.
That would be
I
fun.
love to deep dive
Yeah, I'm
into
always
all of that.
testing new ones and whatever's out
And
there.
you guys you get them compounded safely so they don't have the endotoxins, because that was the thing that I get very worried about,
Yeah.
like all that,
Yeah.
junk stuff.
Yeah.
People don't order them off the internet. They have endotoxins, which give you all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
It is. It's very scary.
It's very
from
scary.
what I hear. Some of my friends are like, "Oh, it's okay. I don't need your stuff. I have, somebody down the street's getting it for like $15, but they're getting it tested." And I was like, "Okay, you enjoy that."
I just
It's
wonder if
so
there's going to be an
scary.
epidemic of like all kind, what autoimmune issues, like and all the different things that can be caused
The
from.
heavy metal, that
Yeah,
are
and I just because people all think that even my son came to me and he wants to do that, and I'm like, he's 19. I'm like, no, he wants to take testosterone. I'm like, oh.
No.
I mean,
definitely
in his
not.
defense, he
He
does
should
have kind of
not,
low testosterone.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like for a teenager, it was like at 200, 300. Which is,
Okay.
I mean, for
That is
he
pretty low.
lifts
Yeah.
weights and
Mhm.
everything, I'm like, that is kind of low, but I don't think you should be shooting testosterone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Just eating
It would
more
be-
protein.
I know that would be interesting to kind of dive into that. And
Well,
see
he
what's
eats a lot of
happening.
protein too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Something's going on.
Yeah.
So you guys train in functional medicine as well, or just like?
So I am definitely going that route for sure. You keep bringing up the Functional Medicine Institute.
Yeah.
And I've looked at it. I guess they're coming out with a new certification in 2026.
Oh, good.
So I'm kind of waiting for that one. Although I've been training with WorldLink Medical. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they are a little bit outside of the box thinkers when it comes to hormones, which I love. They are also coming out with a optimizing medicine certification. So, which is going to kind of combine functional medicine with optimizing thyroid, optimizing hormones. So I kind of think that's the route that I'm going to go. Yeah. But I do love all of that stuff. Just making people feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge.
Yeah, we both did multiple like peptide certifications, and I even did one on supplements. I just haven't had the time to really to do like a functional medicine like fellowship type of thing. It would just take a lot of time. I think with having the young kids, it's like kind of tough. And the other thing is like a lot of the talks, I've gone to a bunch of conferences and I listen to them, and a lot of them are just repetition. And it seems like there's a lot of censorship in what they can and can't say. And, like I learned more from like some of the bodybuilding podcasts and stuff, some of the stuff from the underground. You've like learn about underground stuff that's coming up. Versus
the bro science that's actually ending up working, you mean?
Yeah. As they've gotten more into it, they've like, and they go to China and Russia and test this stuff out, and like,
this
it actually
is good
works.
to know. This is what my son is listening to. So, okay.
Yeah. It's stuff that actually works. Like a lot of the compound pharmacies do get it from China. They get it from China, and then but they have strict testing and stuff, so you don't get the endotoxins, because if you have endotoxins in there, one thing is you could get very sick from it, but the other thing is, and you might not notice it, but like these, like BPC is supposed to be anti-inflammatory and help you out, and it could have the total opposite effect or no effect at all. Like I didn't know about this whole compound pharmacy doing these peptides and stuff, and there's only a few of the pharmacies that do it. It's grown over the past few years, but when I first started doing it, I was getting it off Peptide Sciences, and like once I started doing the compounded form, I'm like, oh, this is how you're supposed to feel when you actually take it and like see results. Versus like I definitely, especially like CJC Epimorelin, which is one of the growth hormone releasing ones. Like I was taking it for a while on Peptide Sciences. I started taking the compounded form. I'm like, I'm having some messed up dreams. I'm like, what's going on? What was happening was like I usually wear an Oura ring, and I was getting into much deeper sleep because it was actual CJC and it was actually working. So once I caught up with my deep sleep phase, then those vivid dreams kind of went away. And anytime like I lacked sleep, like let's say I had like a long week and I worked long hours and didn't get enough sleep. And once I was like getting back on a good sleep schedule, those vivid dreams would come back for a little bit and then go away. So I think like, yeah, you could get non-compounded, but you don't know what's in there, and there's so many companies nowadays, you don't know like their testing and if you're getting a quality product or, getting endotoxins in them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Have you taken any peptides?
I did try a little BPC actually, and again, I didn't notice anything. And then, like I said,
oral or what did you?
Oral, yeah. And I didn't really notice anything. And then I've had all these like, Sjogren's symptoms, and I'm like, did I get, But when I'm looking back, I've had these symptoms for a while, so they've just kind of amped up. So I'm like, well, was there endotoxins in that, or because it was from Peptide Sciences actually? So I don't know. I was like, I don't know, but I don't want to mess around with this stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely didn't notice anything. And I thought, isn't this supposed to be helping me? So I thought I would rather go somewhere and do it properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
if I've learned anything in my life, it's like just work with an actual doctor. Like I don't know this stuff like you guys,
Yeah, some of the stuff is, and like the BPC, I right now I'm taking oral and injectable form, and the injectable form I was actually injecting directly into my shoulder.
Yeah.
Whether that was it or the red light therapy, but I think both together like help quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then like CJC apomorelin, like the growth hormone releasing peptides, like with repair, recovery, and like if you have any sort of neural issues, I think it like helps out tremendously with like I had herniated disc, and like I continue to have issues with like some neuropathies, but like once I got on CJC, the apomorelin, like I usually cycle BPC in there for 3 months. The CJC I usually take like 3, 6 months, a year, and then take a short break. But like all the neural symptoms went away.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to safeguard. My mom has Parkinson's,
Yeah.
which is like kind of the reason I keep doing. Like I just was with my parents yesterday, and my dad's gonna have to get this like stent, and he's like 87, and he's got his like his aortic valve is kind of calcified or something like that, and the doctor's saying, well, without this, like basically in 4 years, like 100%. You'll have passed away, but so we're hoping he can do it, the surgery for the stent and all this. And then my mom is, she's shaking, and their mobility is like really limited. And I'm just going like, I really want to avoid this. I mean, that's the dream, right? That it's like only maybe a year tops, that you have that sort of like lack of health span or none at all, and, we'll see, but it definitely like makes it very easy to like get up at 4:30 and get to the gym. But I do worry about brain issues. But that's
there's
a lot of peptides.
There's a lot of peptides, and I'm always like trying the different ones. And like dihex is one that I like, especially for conversational. I think like when I take it, it's like, when I'm seeing the patients, I can conversate a lot better. And that's something that's kind of helped with like people with Alzheimer's, even Parkinson's, and
neuroprotectant for somebody if they're nervous about getting Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, if it's a genetic factor that runs in their family. We usually put them, cycle that a couple of times a year.
Interesting. I know it's not genetic, but still, I just like, it was like I do not want that fate.
Right.
I mean, that is.
But like what you see, like it seems like you have like a chill way of doing longevity, where people that watched the Netflix on Brian Johnson were like, all right, I'd rather die than live like 10 years behind me.
And I get really I'm not nervous, but like I just feel really very passionate that health should be for everybody. And I get worried when people watch something like that, or the biohacking community, or they listen to Dave Asprey or Ben Greenfield, who I know and I very much admire, but still it's too much.
Oh yeah.
For
especially like I listened to both of them, and I was like, all right, you gotta cut it, because Asprey's like you almost cut out everything you eat or drink, and it's like you're like, all right, I can just drink your danger coffee and the rest of the world's polluted. There's all these other people living to 100. Like,
well, so that's what I kept kind of going back to, was like, well, I mean, one, I really didn't understand the significance of me and my pace of aging and Brian's pace of aging until I dove into what he was doing. And then and then I learned how much he was spending, and I was like, okay, so if I can be the example or the voice for people to say, you don't need all this. It's great. We can just eat well. And if you look at the blue zones, like they don't biohack, they just optimize. Like they don't even, they're just doing their thing. And so, like if I don't know Brian, I've never met him. So, I do think that is who he is. I don't think it causes him any extra stress, but if I were to implement that, and
I bet you if he like did what you do, I bet you he adds like time to his longevity, because I bet you there is a stress factor decreasing how well he ages
Maybe.
compared to you, compared to who's the other guy that was Ben Greenfield that's like beat Brian Johnson too, not to your level.
Simland?
I forget.
Several. There's like
Yeah.
Dave Pasco.
I think it was
Simland.
Pascos. Yeah.
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 And Dave Pasco's like way chill. Like, I mean, again, it's like that's who he is. Like,
Yeah,
that
he's
wouldn't,
chill.
it doesn't cause them any stress to do all the stuff they do.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think the average person is more like me. Like, most of the population is
Yeah.
like, okay, that's just like way too much. Like, I'm just trying to get dinner on the table. I'm raising kids. You know, like I can't do all this stuff. And for me, that would stress me.
Like
It would
one
make everything
thing,
worse.
Brian Johnson's like, he's on the M-Sculpt machine every day. And I'm like, there's no way you could be on the I'm like, you're talking about longevity. You're doing this thing that could be radiating your body. You know, how much EMF and radiation is that doing, that you're doing 20,000 crunches a day.
I wouldn't mind
and
doing
it's
the
painful.
EMF like once a year, you know,
Yeah.
a few sessions like once
Yeah.
a year. I'd be down
Oh
with
yeah,
that,
I do
but-
that. I do that. Like I'm like, you know, right before I go on a beach vacation, I always say it. It's like
That's on the
go up on your terzepatide and go and do a few M-Sculpt treatments. Get ready for the beach.
I love it.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, his lifestyle would be way too stressful
Yeah.
for me. I need to just live. And so I always just kind of in the back of my mind, like, you know, like it's really about community. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had good times and bad times in my life and
Yeah.
stressful times and then times of like healing. And those times of healing, you know, usually like psychological, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
or when you first fall in love, like, you know, just how that stuff is so much more impactful. Like your mental health and your mental well-being and your spiritual well-being is so much more impactful than
Yeah.
on our health. We just can't measure it. So we don't know.
Yeah.
Once we can measure it, people will be like, oh, okay. And so I just try to really maximize that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, one, I'm just limited by budget. I'm a single mom. I'm putting my kid through college. I don't want him
Yeah.
to have loans, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I just I just want to be careful when I buy the things that like all the techie and all
Yeah.
that stuff, you know, I want to know that it works. Like I did
Yeah.
try one of the trackers, you know, I had a Ring tracker.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an Oura Ring. It was another brand. And I'm not going to call out the brand, but
Well,
very
now you
much did
can't
not work for me.
Now, like the Oura Ring's the only thing they can sell in the U.S.
oh, really?
because they got rid of the rest of the apps. Yeah, because I was about to buy one of the other rings.
Yeah.
Because
I can tell you one of the other ones, I did not like it. And again, I'm not going to mention their name, but I was like,
It's superhuman. We'll keep it off.
so it was like totally inconsistent.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh, this would be great. I can use it for my VO2 max.
Yeah.
Did not work. I would like always compare it. I have a Polar. So now I just put on a Polar every
Yeah.
morning and I get my HRV and, you know,
That's what
the
I was going to
actual
say.
strap,
I,
you know.
I have the Whoop, and
That's
like
actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
the newest one, I think even the older one was way off from, because I have the Carol bike, and I'll put on that chest strap, and the heart rate's like way different, because like the Whoop was reading my heart rate too high to even do the Carol bike. I'm like, oh, take this out, put the strap on. It's like my heart rate's
You know what
fine.
was odd to me is that I work out at EOS, and
Yeah.
I'd always heard that those, you know, the things that you hold are so inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually found them completely consistent with my
Yeah.
Polar. They were consistently like 2 beats behind.
Yeah.
But I was like, it was completely consistent, and then I'm like, well, this ring is supposed to be working. It still doesn't even know that I'm working out yet,
Yeah.
you know. And then my sleep was all off, and it was causing me a lot of stress. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
One of the things, like I think, like with my sleep, both the Whoop and the Oura Ring, they're pretty close. Whoop usually gives me more deep sleep, and then I have the eight sleep bed, which is always kind of in between the Oura Ring and this. The Oura Ring always gives me a little less sleep, and I don't know. Sometimes it could be turned; it reads it the wrong way. What kind of pissed me off was I was in Europe last month or at the beginning of this month, and I was like, I definitely walked more than 10,000 steps, and both the Ring and the Whoop read under 7,000 steps, and I'm like, there's no freaking way. I was like,
that was my last straw, was that the
Yeah.
ring was completely off compared to what my phone was saying.
Yeah.
Usually my phone is less because I leave it on the counter or something like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, like ring, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm breaking up with you. So
Yeah.
I put it, it was causing just
Yeah.
stress, I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, we have whole discussions. We're like the little group chat with a few of us biohackers, and like, I can't remember who it was. I think, is it Dave? A few, like, they're like looking at, like, they're like they've got this whole logarithmic differences between like everything and like figuring it all out. I was like,
Yeah.
like again, that's way too much stress.
But it's also like it's also become like this huge marketing and how much money they can make from the different, because it's like, are they pitching this because it really works? And it's tough to like get where they're, like, are they just trying to sell product? You know, that's where it really gets questionable, and like you need to really dig deep, because it's Gary Brecka, Dave Asprey, and Ben Greenfield. That's like every biohacking website that you go to, those three guys are on it, and you're like, all right, like, yeah, they're getting free product and trying it out, and they're saying this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but is it truly? Is it truly it? Yeah. So
I was gonna get.
You need to get it.
I was gonna get the Whoop, and then I just thought, you know what? Like, I got this low tech way of checking my HRV every morning. Okay, I'm not getting like minute to minute, but have an idea. Know if it's going up or down, whether I could work out hard or should I take it slow today, or that kind of, that's really all I really want it for. And I don't really want to track my sleep. Like the 8 sleep like looks like a dream, but then I'm thinking, when you go on vacation, do you sleep? Or do you have trouble sleeping? Because like that's my worst night, because I travel,
Not the 8 sleep. My bed is like, I spent a lot of money on my bed. And it was tough getting the 8 sleep, because I'm like, oh, if this ruptures and messes up this bed, my wife's going to kill me. And I actually like I ordered it, I put it on the bed like when my wife was out, and like one night one of our kids had a fever, and I'm like, hey, put them on our bed. I can cool it down. And she's like, and I was heating and cooling the bed for her, like, and she didn't notice for a few weeks, until like once my son had a fever and we put him, she's like, oh, I love this thing. So yeah.
But you don't find it hard then when you travel? Because like that would be my worst fear.
My tougher part is the mattresses when I travel. And that's how I choose hotels. I'm like, I look at the beds and I'm like, all right, I can't. Or like when we Airbnb, I'm like, I can't stay in that place. I'm like, I'm going to be dealing with back issues. Like you look at the beds and you're like, no, I can't sleep. So the bed comfort's like the thing more, because like with the 8 sleep, like when we go on trips, you just set you cool the room down like to 65.
Yeah, that's true.
But like where you don't have as much trouble, it's more the comfort of the bed than
That's good to know. Although now that's one more thing I got to add to my list, but
I love it, but like I got it, and then 3 months later they came out with the newest one that has the blanket and everything, and you can't get the
they'll always like, come out. There's always something new. There's always something new. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I just try to try to keep it mellow, and just I have this whole theory on this like you got to get the foundation right, because there's just no sense like if you're not eating well, of course your hormones are going to be messed up. So like let's get your diet right, because now you're going to like naturally kind of level out your hormones to as much as you can, right? And then so your diet, exercise, sleep, kind of get those down, because that's pretty much, I mean, I feel like that's 80% of it right there.
Yeah.
Get that down. Now, obviously relationships and spiritual health and mental health goes along with that, but so kind of getting that in order, then you're like, okay, now can we optimize my hormones? Now can we do some kind of low invasive treatments, supplements, a few things on top of that. Then once you have that, now you can start looking at the icing on the cake. I would do like the non-invasive stuff first, like the plunging, the HBOT, the bed, all that stuff. Then you can like, okay, now I'm looking at stem cells and exosomes and the more tricky stuff, but kind of like looking at it more as like you're building maybe a layer cake or something, or building a structure, and so I just try to, like, I feel like that the whole of the world, but all America especially, like we would be so much better off if we dial down like all the stressful parts of biohacking and like let's focus on this. And once people start feeling good, they'll
Yeah, and I
get
think
it.
that's huge. That's where like, you know, you've done so well, and like I think that's what you can teach a lot of people is like, you know, you don't need all this stuff. You know, these are, you know, just try a few things. These are, you know, and people don't understand, and we always come back to the foundations of sleep,
That core.
meditation, exercise, and like, and people think, you know, and I know you do little tidbits of exercise throughout the day, and that's what people need to understand is like, you don't need to be this hardcore gym person.
Right.
Like you can get things done in 15, 20 minutes, and that's all I do. And that's, you know, I tell my patients, I see them, I'm like, you know, you want to get on GLP-1, get some resistance bands. And I give them the two companies that I think, I have both of them, and I think they're great companies, and like, that's all you need. And I think I get more cut and like better muscles with just resistance bands than like I spent, I have the tonal, and, you know, I know that's almost similar, but I get better results with the resistance bands than the 3,000 or now 5,000 dollar piece of equipment at home. So, you know, just balancing it out and doing your core foundational changes, you know, and just making a plan for, especially the patients, like just to figure out, you know, and don't do spot treatments. If you're not going to get your sleep right, like the rest of the stuff's going to, you know, you're not going to be able to lose weight. You're not going to be able to recover. You're going to continue to get injured. And that's like the Oura Ring. When it tells me like your readiness is like 65, like I'm not going to go and push it extra hard that day, like training, you know, I'm like, I'm going to take it easy. And it is able to like kind of tell you like when you're about to get sick at the beginning of wearing it, but like you got to get past that phase. At the beginning, you definitely like kind of get caught up in it, and it gets pretty intense. You're like, but then like the good part is like once you figure out your whole body and like you biohack and optimize everything, when things change, you know, when they changed.
Yeah, that's when like all that stuff is really helpful.
Yeah.
I think the beginning is like getting that mindset straight. You know, once people have their minds made up, you can't stop them from doing anything. So if you can get that mindset, and sometimes it takes a little bit of like success and feeling good. So it's like, I really want to help people just tweak those tiny habits, you know, get small little tweaks that you get those small wins that then slowly, like, what was it? James Clear calls them like aggregate something or other, you know, when you're just basically taking like tiny small wins. And if you add that up over a lifetime, I mean, we've got to get rid of this 8 weeks to a beach body mindset. It's just that, like, you got to eliminate that and just look at like, this is the rest of your life. So, you know, you've got between now and whatever you think you're going to live or however long you want to live, what are all the like small little things you can pepper out throughout that life so that you're in great shape?
Yeah. And I've never done the biological testing because I'm like, you know, there's all these different companies doing them, and like everyone talks down about the other one, and like, what does it really mean? You know, like.
So I will say this, like, I do think like a lot of them, like, there's the Horvath clock, and I've played around with that because you just input your numbers, like it's an online thing you can, but those numbers, as you well know, they change the ones that you're inputting. So that it's a, you know, it's a decent estimation, but the pace of aging is actually one of the best clocks in there. And I always forget his name, and I've got to make a point of listen. He was just on Peter Attia's podcast and just saying like, that really is, he's from the Buck Institute. You know, that is like the best test we have so far. And it's pretty legitimate to get your pace of aging. Not so much like you're 36, you know, biologically 36. That's all kind of like,
no, I think it's worthwhile for some people. For me, I'm like, does it matter to me? I don't think I care enough to test it. I've thought about it, I'm like, I'm like, I'd rather like play around with my lab numbers and optimize them than like get this 8 score, which like, is it really going to matter to me?
That's kind of like Michael Lustgarten is like that too. He's more about optimizing those things. I like the pace of aging. I try to do it towards the end of the year only because I just see it as sort of a overall signal of or a signal of the overall system,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, I pay more attention. I go more often to get those other just random, you know, routine blood tests. I find more.
And for some people, like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because I think, you know, for some people they should know, like, you know, like if you're aging poorly, like, you need to change your lifestyle in some way. Maybe you need to quit your job. Maybe you need a divorce, or you need to find someone,
a wake
you
up
know,
call for sure. Yeah.
You need to hang out with different people, because it's ruining your life. So you need to change things to make it better for yourself, or like get more sleep, whatever it is. It might be a wake up call for a lot of people. For me, like, I got it done 5 years ago. It wasn't really, it just, you know, I forget what it was called, but it was one of the first ones. They drew my labs, and then through my labs, they told me, like, what my numbers were. I was off of TRT at the time, so my testosterone was low, and that was one of the main things they based, like, my biological age, but it was like around the same, maybe a year older than I was. The Whoop says I'm like 3 years older with my sleep and stress level. But, you know, I'm in medicine, so expect it to be like 10 years older. So I'm probably 7 years ahead. So it's probably better.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh my gosh. No, I was interesting because last year my pace of aging sped up. I mean, it was still like great, but you know, it sped up, and then all this stuff happened, you know, and I was in the middle of like hormone issues. So it was like very predictive of all the things I was going to eventually learn. So I mean, it was interesting. I was like, yeah, okay, now that makes sense. You know, I was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be going that way, you know?
Yeah, like, even if I don't do like workouts for like 2-3 days or 4 days, I'm like, I noticed, like, I'm not as focused, and like, or I'm not enjoying what I'm doing as much. I'm like, I need to get it, you know, I'm like, even if it's like at 9 or 10 at night, I need to get on those resistance bands, get that workout in. And like, I wake up, it's like whole new day. It just like totally opens things up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm noticing. I've been pretty ADHD my whole life, you know, and as I get healthier and healthier, like, I could never actually just sit down and read a book. I've been listening to, like, I read about 100 books a year, but I'm listening to them. And now I'm finally sitting, I'm able to sit down and read. And like focus on the page, and the words aren't all jumping around the place. So I know that like something's happening between my brain and my body getting healthier, that I'm able to focus more. It's very, very pleasant. I enjoy it.
Yeah, like the neuroinflammation compared to the rest of your body. Yeah, I think I have ADHD too, and like, as I've listened to more stuff, I'm like, I definitely have it, because one of the things is, like, I get hyper focused on
me too.
like
I get like
things,
that.
and I'm like, and I can't let them go, and I'm like, oh, that's totally me. I'm like, I don't have, like, I'm not like all over the place, but like some things I get hyper focused on, and there it is. And that's my ADHD. And like, my wife thinks I'm like cloudy, spacey, or she calls me on the spectrum, which I probably sort of have that, but adult ADHD is part of that spectrum-ish type of thing. So
Fun.
yeah.
I can always tell when he's going to get a new toy, because he'll bring it up, and then a couple of days later he'll bring it up again, and then me and his brother will look at each other and we're like, it'll be in the office next week.
He'll have been up till midnight researching it every night. I love
And
it.
sometimes I blame it on my brother. I'm like, oh, he bought it, so I don't get in trouble.
I love that. Here comes our hyperbaric machine, the red light. It was good.
Yeah.
I want to work with you guys. I would
We
just
have all
be,
the fun toys.
I would
for
be
sure.
like Brian Johnson in no time.
The good part is, like, yeah, for us, we can try this stuff out, but it's also like we implement it into the business. I do plenty of research in it, and it's like functionally appropriate. So, so we bring it in. With the new surgery center, like the red light bed we're getting, it's going to be amazing. It's like, it's got like hydrogen therapy, inhalation and red light. It's got PMF, everything, and vibrational acoustics. So it's gonna be a game changer in the plastic surgery world. I just love that, it's something I got into, and it's just been amazing. And just trying to get it out there and getting people and setting up everything so we can like have a great place like that. So
that's going to be really cool. It's a very forward thinking compared to the other plastic surgeons I've spoken with, for sure.
Yeah, it's a huge selling point as well for our patients, because we are so concerned we want to get them back to their normal lives, right? 6 weeks is an average downtime for a lot of our surgeries, but getting them through all of this, getting their scars, or their incision lines to scar much better, and just getting them back to their life, because around that 2-week mark, people start to get a little crazy because they can't really work out, and they sometimes can take a little dip in their mental wellness because they're just not doing what they normally do. So it's really important for us to get them back to their normal life so they can move on. And
I just didn't want to, like, I used to, before, like 6-7 years ago, I used to tell Krista, or whenever she started, some of the cases we were doing, some of the cases we do, I'd be like, man, why am I doing that? Tummy tuck on someone that's high BMI and stuff. And, over time, I'm like, there's a reason I don't do them.
Yeah.
Like, although we didn't have many complications, I was like, I'm just not getting the results I want, and I needed to just optimize these people. Yeah. Now we're optimizing them so they can have the tummy tuck. Because, just like, you're going to do it and they might feel great at the beginning, but then they're going to go back to their old habits, and they're not going to feel great about themselves. Like, you got to get them feeling good about themselves before you start doing surgeries on them that are, I think, like, having the trauma of surgery itself, it's going to put you in sort of a depressed mood, whether it's from the anesthesia or the pain, whatever it is. Like, before, some people kick back up, but like, those are the motivated people, and they're in shape, they're optimized, they do great post-operatively. The people that, they gain the weight right back, or, they don't keep up with what it is. Few patients do get better, and they are like, all right, this is new beginning. I'm going to take it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But a lot of time, and, we don't do high BMI patients other than when we have to do them for breast cancer, because of that. And we try to get them into shape before, like, doing any sort of surgery to be there, and so they know we're there to help them across their whole journey, not just like, just do surgery and then they're gone.
Do you guys, I assume you don't do gastric bypass, but like, are people doing less gastric bypass because of the GLP-1s? I was just kind of thinking about that. Like,
it did take quite a dip. But like, there's a lot of new studies coming out with long-term costs of the gastric bypass versus GLP-1s, which shows that the gastric bypasses and sleeves, they're actually cost effectiveness. They're a lot better because lifelong being on GLP-1s is not as good. And, most of these patients do need to be on lifelong GLP-1s, but there are like a ton of gastric bypass patients that plateaued, and we've gotten them on GLP-1s to continue to lose weight, or they come in already on GLP-1s after they had gastric bypass to be able to have further surgeries, because once they got on GLP-1s, they lost another 50, 60 pounds. So it definitely hindered gastric bypass surgery, but it's also like, you see these studies, and, I've gotten into like, everything's propaganda, especially with big pharma, what they're trying to push, like with the GLP-1s, you heard like great things as it was coming out, and then they ran into the shortage. So they tried to kind of like be like, all right, there's a lot of people are, noticing nausea and stuff to stop people from going to compound pharmacies, and because their stuff was running out. And then, then they're coming out and saying the compounded stuff doesn't work. You're doing harm to yourself, doing and it's the same stuff that they're selling, and we're seeing they're just as functional. Some patients, even if they take the pharmaceutical grade stuff, they're not losing weight because they're not doing all the foundational stuff to get to that, because it's not going to be a magic drug for everyone. And you got to put in some work. And we try to repair their gut and, with some of the peptides and probiotics and stuff before getting them on a GLP-1 so they can be most effective. Yeah.
I could not do that. I just you got to have better habits.
Yeah.
I've been on them for 3 years almost. And, I just fluctuate. I usually take pretty low dose just to
I was going to say,
control my sugars and stuff.
Aren't people microdosing? I think that's kind of a new thinking. There's some thinking, I don't remember which one it is, but that they're looking at its impact for brain diseases like Alzheimer's.
Well,
the
GLP-1s, the semaglutide, tirzepatide, they do have effects on Alzheimer's disease.
It was that's why it was originally formulated, is that they were using it and studying it for Alzheimer's dementia. But then they saw how much it controlled somebody's A1C, and they brought it out and made it a type 2 diabetic
So really it's
medication.
kind of like somebody who was headed down that path, it can keep, but it's not going to take somebody who's optimized and make them better, protected against, say somebody who's not having any A1C issues, they're not, you know what I mean? Like somebody who's completely healthy, then they just start taking it. That's not going to really protect them from Alzheimer's, right? If they weren't headed in that
bringing down that
direction,
inflammation, that neuroinflammation will definitely help kind of protect them.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing's about sugar spikes, and this kind of moderates. Just they don't need to be necessarily on a GLP-1, maybe just low dose metformin or dihydroberberine or berberine instead of the GLP-1. If your weight and stuff's optimized, you don't necessarily need the GLP-1. The GLP-1 definitely is the easier route because it's once a week shot. You don't have to take a pill, and it controls your sugars pretty well. And metformin's going to be anti-inflammatory, and the way they found out the positive effects of metformin was because the diabetic patients got less cancer than the rest of the population.
Yeah.
So that's where that became big.
Barzilai speak about that, and it was very, very interesting. It was wow, So I actually started taking berberine. I've been on it for 6 months.
Yeah.
And again, I'm gonna have my blood tested here in a few weeks, and I'll go over it with my doctor. And I'm curious to see the impact on my A1C.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel. I don't really feel like I have low blood sugar or anything like that, but I do feel there's some impact on my appetite. I don't seem to be craving sugar at anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very satisfied with blueberries, whereas in the past it would be every night, I would really like some ice cream right now. It's oh no, blueberries, that's plenty,
Yeah.
So
it moderates your blood sugar. So you're not metformin does the same thing. It's moderating your blood sugar. So you're not going to have highs and lows unless you already have highs and lows before.
Yeah. Have you ever worn a CGM?
Yeah, I have. I've done that many times, and I haven't put it on since I started taking the berberine. Now that I think about it,
oh yeah, you should.
I should do that.
Interesting to see.
I should do that because I didn't really have too many spikes. In fact, I put it on thinking this will really motivate me to not eat pizza and and my blood sugar didn't spike when I had pizza. I'm are you serious? It did not white rice either, not potatoes. It was grapes. It was some fruits, that was spiking it. But all the things that I was this will keep, I'll see the spike and then I won't, and it was not spiking. I'm oh, okay.
Yeah, my friend said he was drinking beer and it would never spike.
Oh, of course, we really need an insulin. What we need is an insulin monitor. If I could see my insulin spiking, then I might be oh, okay. We don't know what's really happening behind the scenes. So
So is there any other supplements that you would recommend to?
I'm just all about
do
like,
you-
the basics,
Yeah.
obviously the, a D3K2,
Yeah.
I think,
Mhm.
how much you take of that depends on your blood work and all of
Mhm.
that. But, I take a fish oil, like
Mhm.
Do you take fatty 15 or?
I don't, because I started, I looked into that research
Yeah.
and I am like I'm a big fat butter fan. So I
Yeah.
have like all the, I do a lot of butter and grass-fed cheeses. And
Mhm.
I actually calculated out and I'm like, I'm getting more than I would get in that supplement.
Yeah.
So I decided I didn't really need it. I'd
Okay.
rather have the butter. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not gaining any weight, so
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that
Mhm.
part of it. But
That's where I'm like, because they say it has more positive effects than your fish oil, but do you still need to take fish oil? Or-
yeah, you do, because it's different, because you got your
Yeah.
omega-3s, your omega-6s, and then what is this, C15 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, but anyway, I don't know. I take that. I still take the omegas. I've now been messing around with this Avmacol. I noticed Rhonda Patrick was talking about this because she's all over the sulforaphane,
Yeah.
and I had been doing like moringa, and I had done like the broccoli sprouts in the
Yeah.
past and all of that. And then I noticed she was taking that. Well, that's a lot more convenient than this, moringa every morning or something like that. So I haven't noticed any big differences,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's a nice insurance policy and I don't have to grow the sprouts anymore.
Yeah.
But I do still eat my broccoli and
Yeah.
optimize for that. But so those are the ones that I've added that are new. I used to take a B complex all the time, but I was getting like over methylated, which was really, I had never been over methylated in my life. I was always under methylated. I didn't know you could go from under to over, but all of a sudden I was just like anxious all the time. I couldn't sleep. I was really like, and so when I talked to my doctor, she's like, "Oh yeah, you're over methylated."
Yeah.
So I just took it out, and I'm just doing like a multivitamin
Yeah.
that has a few B vitamins in there, but
Yeah.
nothing major.
Yeah.
And trying to think what else. I know there's more magnesium. Oh yeah, I'm a big fat magnesium hog. Like I feel like it's gone down since I don't need as much sugar. I noticed, the more carbs and sugar I eat, the more magnesium I need.
Yeah.
But if I'm, since I started taking the berberine, I've noticed I'm taking like, and I used to take like 600 to 900, and now I'm definitely like 400 to 600 a day.
Yeah.
For sure.
Uh-huh.
So, what else? There's not a lot. I don't get too far into that. I mean, I'm always like trying different things. Like I love, I take liposomal glutathione,
Yeah.
from Symbiotic. I really
Yeah.
I like that because it's like not pills.
Yeah.
So, they taste good, and I'll take their vitamin C, not every day,
But some of their stuff has a lot of sugar. That's like, I was taking their stuff too, and then I'm like, oh, it's like, that's the only thing that.
Or his calories, when you're like really counting calories, it's like that's just more calories a day if you're doing a bunch of them. But so I just do a few of them.
Yeah.
And they have a few fun ones in there that I'll take just for the dessert of it all, like the Irish sea moss, that's tastes really good. But I don't take it every day.
Yeah.
But the glutathione I try to take every day. It's just a matter of, I had just recently learned like about not taking antioxidants around when you work out, that can have negative effects on like the hormesis and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm not usually, you have to kind of take that liposomal glutathione when you're fasted. So I'm like, okay, well, I have to take it, I guess, when I go to bed, or, so sometimes I forget. It's not real consistent, but I do take it. And I do notice a difference in my skin and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
What's in the Novos that you take?
That's the other thing I take. Is so Novos, I won't know all of, so people are gonna have to look it up. But I know there's glycine, there's calcium alpha ketoglutarate, there is fisetin, there magnesium malate, so malic acid is in there.
Is it their longevity complex or which one?
Yeah, so the Novos Core, and that did slow my pace of aging down by 8% because I went from 0.76 when I had never taken it before. So that was at, month 0.
Yeah.
And then I took another pace of aging test at 6 months, and I had lowered my pace of aging by 8 months, or 8.8.
Yeah.
Which is huge. It's like huge. And in those 6 months, those were, my mental health was not in a good place. It was in a really stressful situation. So
what do you do for that?
my mental
Mental
health.
health,
At that point, I was just crying.
Yeah.
that was a very hard time. But
Yeah.
your kids are suffering. It's
Yeah.
very, very hard. And but I do meditate every day. I started meditating in 2019. Well, I started meditating like my whole life, but really effectively meditating in 2019.
Yeah.
And I have a therapist that I've seen since I was 30 and had all these original issues. So I don't talk to her every week, but I'll, when things get bad, I'll
give her
kind of have weekly sessions.
Yeah.
And then, friends and journaling and, all the things that you're supposed to do. I do, I do, but sometimes like life is just hard and you're just whipped up and it's just an every minute to minute decision to make sure you stay healthy.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of tools to meditate nowadays. I have a bunch of machinery to meditate, but like there's also, like you just have your YouTubes for breath work and stuff and meditation that could like even that or even iPhone apps that could give you the different lights to get you meditating appropriately. I think like there's a lot of tools out and that we have at our hands that we can definitely use to, like, and you only need like 5 minutes or so to kind of calm yourself.
Was it Huberman talks about this whole what is it called? Physiological sigh, So I was trying that one day because I didn't have time to sit down and meditate. And I was like, actually, that worked. That really worked,
Oh, yeah.
But I noticed because my shoulders just kind of like, I feel good,
Yeah. Yeah, I have the brain tap, and that kind of goes through like the breath work. It does like all the different things. And like he was talking about like if you're having trouble sleeping, doing the cycle. And I had been doing that where you do it's the 4-7-8 breath.
Oh yeah,
you do.
Andrew Weil used to do that. Like I used to do that. Started that like a long time ago.
Yeah, I started, and then like one of the Instagram ads popped up with Huberman saying it. I was like, oh, there you go. And now everyone's gonna start doing it. It does like three rounds, and you're like back out again.
Really? Yeah. I've been doing the thing where you just like roll your eyes up in your head and like move them because it you say it makes your brain produce melatonin or makes your body produce melatonin.
Yeah.
And
I haven't heard of that.
And it was what's his name? Walker, forgot his first name, the sleep guy. He was saying like when you can't sleep, like go on a walk in your mind.
Yeah.
And that works. I get like halfway around my mental block, and I'm usually out.
Yeah. Yeah, just counting like when you're breathing like kind of gets you to like forget about the rest of the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Sometimes it's just too much. Too much. The world is too much.
I know. I'm like, I try on the different things I have. I'm like, I can't get to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.